How much work is it to fix the doorbell?
Well, unlike taking a shower, you might have to raise an arm.
Married with Children wasn't just another sitcom. It broke all the rules and became one of TV's most shocking, funniest, and most talked-about shows. With crude jokes, outrageous storylines, and a family that was anything but picture-perfect, it quickly made headlines and history. But while fans were laughing at Al, Peggy, Bud, and Kelly on screen, a lot was going on behind the scenes that never made it to air. From real-life challenges to moments of tension, the truth was far messier. And now, years later, Christina Applegate has finally revealed a secret that changes how we see it all. Join us as we take a closer look at the show, the cast, the chaos behind the camera, and the shocking truth Christina just shared. The show that changed everything. In the late 1980s, people were used to watching happy, clean, and perfect families on TV. Shows like The Cosby Show and Who's the Boss gave viewers characters who were kind, well-dressed, and always made peace by the end of each episode. These families had no money problems, no big fights, and no mess. But on April 5, 1987, something very different appeared on screen. Married with Children hit the airwaves and shocked audiences with its raw, loud, and very real kind of humor. Instead of a perfect family, viewers met the Bundys, a broke, struggling family that fought, joked, and lived in total chaos. This was a family that couldn't afford food or fix their broken car. They didn't hug it out at the end of every episode. They argued. They were tired. And they were funny because of it. That mix of real struggle and bold jokes made the show stand out. People couldn't believe what they were watching, but they kept coming back. Married with ran for 11 seasons and 259 episodes, making it one of the longest-running sitcoms in American TV history. It was also the very first primetime show to air on the Fox network, which was brand new at the time. The theme song Love and Marriage by Frank Sinatra gave the show a classy feel, but what followed was anything but polished. Critics had mixed feelings, mostly because the humor was very open about things like marriage troubles and bodily functions. Some called it too much, but many loved it for being real. In fact, when it first started, its secret working title was Not the Cosbys. That title alone tells you everything. The creators, Michael G. Moy and Ron Levitt, wanted to show the complete opposite of the picture-perfect family life. They were tired of seeing families on TV who never fought, never struggled, and always smiled. So they created the Bundys, messy, broke, and loud. And that changed sitcoms forever. Casting the unlikely Bundy. Finding the right person to play Al Bundy was not easy. Most actors who auditioned thought Al should be angry and loud all the time. Some played him like Jackie Gleason from The Honeymooners, yelling at everyone. Others tried a dark and creepy version, acting like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. But then came Ed O'Neill, and he did something no one expected. O'Neill based his version of Al Bundy on someone he knew, his uncle. His uncle was a man who lived a hard life and knew he wouldn't achieve his big dreams. But instead of staying angry, he used humor to deal with his sadness. O'Neill walked into the audition with that same energy. As soon as he stepped into the pretend Bundy house, his whole body changed. He looked like a man who had given up. Show creator Moy said, "As far as I am concerned, he didn't have to say another word. That was Al Bundy." Casting director Mark Hirschfeld also remembered that moment, saying O'Neill's body language told the whole story. This quiet, tired version of Al Bundy felt real, and that's what made it powerful. The audience didn't just laugh at Al, they felt for him. He was a man stuck in a job he hated, surrounded by chaos, but still trying to survive each day with jokes and sarcasm. This version of Al made the show stand out even more. He wasn't yelling, he wasn't pretending, he was just real. And that's what made people love him. Peggy Bundy's look was no accident. The character of Peggy Bundy was first written as lazy, messy, and careless. She wasn't supposed to have a job or help around the house. All she did was watch TV, go shopping, and spend money. The idea was that she didn't care about how she looked. But when Katie Sagal got the role, she had a completely different idea. Sagal didn't see Peggy as sloppy or unattractive. Instead, she imagined Peggy as someone who still thought she was hot, even if her life wasn't perfect. So she picked her own clothes for the show. Big hair, tight pants, flashy tops, and high-heel mules. She even gave Peggy her signature walk. It was confident, loud, and a little over the top, but it worked. It made Peggy stand out. During a 2003 reunion, Segal said she wanted Peggy to feel good about herself, even if everything else in her life was a mess. That choice helped shape the show. Peggy wasn't just lazy, she was proud, bold, and full of attitude. And that made the fights and jokes with Al even funnier. Instead of a dull housewife, Peggy became one of the most memorable characters on the show. She brought fashion, fire, and sass to the Bundy house. And all of that came from Katey Sagal's vision. From Not the Cosbys to pop culture icons. When Moy and Levitt were putting the show together, they didn't have much money to work with. Fox was a brand new network trying to stand out against big names like ABC, CBS, and NBC. What they did offer was creative freedom. That was all Moy and Levitt needed. They had worked on other sitcoms like Happy Days and Different Strokes, but now they wanted to do something different. They were tired of shows that made people feel like their own families weren't good enough. They wanted to create a family that made viewers feel normal. That's why they started with the title Not the Cosbys. It was a bold move, but it worked. From the very beginning, Married with Children made waves. It was filmed in Los Angeles at several different studios throughout its run, and even though it didn't always get love from critics, it gained a massive fan base. The show didn't shy away from problems. It showed couples fighting, kids misbehaving, and money always running out. But that's what made it special. It felt like real life, but funnier. Years after the show ended in 1997, it continued to stay alive in reruns and fan memories. It even made Entertainment Weekly's New TV Classics list in 2008, placing number 94. And in 2022, news came out that an animated revival was in the works. But even with all that success, the cast had their share of secrets and struggles. The truth about Christina Applegate and the cast. When Married with Children first filmed its pilot episode, Christina Applegate wasn't even in it. In fact, both kids, Kelly and Bud, were played by different actors, Tina Kaspari and Hunter Carson. While Ed O'Neill and Katey Sagal were already locked in as Al and Peggy, the creators felt that the kids didn't quite fit. The chemistry was missing. That's when they approached Christina Applegate and asked her to try for the role of Kelly. At the time, she was already acting in a drama series, so she didn't really want to do a comedy. She wasn't too excited about the idea, but things changed when she watched the pilot with her mother. They both laughed, and she decided to give it a try. That decision changed her life. Kelly Bundy became one of the most popular characters on the show, and Christina's performance stood out. Later, she avoided getting stuck in the same kind of roles. She went on to act in popular comedies like Vacation and Anchorman, and many more TV series. On the other hand, David Faustino, who played Bud, had a different dream. In the show, Bud tried hard to be cool and attract girls, but failed every time. One of the funnier storylines was when Bud turned into a rapper named Grandmaster B. Even his family couldn't take the name seriously. But that wasn't just a joke. David Faustino loved hip-hop in real life. He even tried to launch a rap career. Under the name DeLil, he released a song called I Told Ya. He also organized rap battles at a club called Ballistics in LA, where he met big names like Ice Cube, Will.i.am, and Zibbit. Later, he created his own label and came back as Lil Gweed. But the show's real drama didn't always stay on the screen. Feuds, friendships, and regrets. The tension between Al and Marcy on the show made for great comedy. Al couldn't stand her, and Marcy thought he was the worst kind of man. It was funny to watch, but behind the scenes, things got a little too real. Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse didn't get along, especially toward the later seasons. Amanda Bearse, who played Marcy, also worked as a director for many episodes. That meant she had to give feedback to the other actors, which didn't always go well. At a fan event in 2018, Bearse shared that she often had to give notes to Ed O'Neill, and that may have caused some friction. Ed O'Neill later shared his side of the story in an interview. He said Bearse didn't invite him to her wedding. She thought he would make fun of the idea of two women getting married. Ed admitted he was surprised, but also said she was probably right at the time. He also shared that he once said something very unkind to her during an argument in the makeup room, something he still regrets. Things may have been difficult off-camera, but the show kept going strong. Still, not everything about Married with Children aged well. Years after the show ended, some of the cast members spoke up about how it treated women. Katie Sagal, who played Peggy, said in an interview with AOL that the show was a misogynistic show that exploited women. She believed it was meant as a joke, a parody, but was shocked that so many people took it seriously. Amanda Bearse also spoke up, calling the show mean-spirited and misogynistic. Still, she had good memories too. She was thankful for the chance to direct episodes, something that helped her start a career behind the camera. The show wasn't always kind, but it opened doors for her in a big way. One woman's protest and a ratings boost. On January 15, 1989, something happened that nearly changed the show forever. A mother named Terry Rakolta was watching an episode of Married with Children with her children. The episode was called Her Cups Runneth Over, and it included some scenes that shocked her. There was a male stripper dancing in front of Peggy, a woman taking off her bra in front of Al, and even an old man wearing women's underwear. Nothing was too graphic, but it was far from what families were used to seeing on TV. Before 9 p.m., Terry was outraged. She didn't just turn off the TV, she took action. She started writing to the companies that paid to advertise during the show, asking them to pull out. She even gave interviews on TV and contacted newspapers like the New York Times, saying the show was not okay for kids. Some big companies like Coca-Cola and Johnson & Johnson actually listened and pulled their ads. Fox got nervous. They even blocked one episode that had jokes about adult tapes. But something unexpected happened. Instead of losing viewers, the show got even more popular. By the end of the year, ratings had gone up by 117%. It turns out that all the news coverage about the protest made more people curious. They wanted to see what the fuss was about, so they tuned in, and many of them liked it. The protest, meant to shut the show down, ended up doing the opposite. The show became even more famous, and Fox became more confident in letting it push boundaries. Reunions, regrets, and one last laugh. After 11 seasons and 259 episodes, Married with Children came to an end in 1997. The decision was made because of rising cast salaries and dropping ratings, even though the show still had a strong fan base. Fans waited until 2003 to see the cast together again in a reunion. Later, Katie Sagal and Ed O'Neill also reunited on 8 Simple Rules in a fun episode. In 2012, the whole cast came back for Fox's 25th anniversary celebration. But there was another reunion that not many people know about, and it came from David Faustino. After the show ended, most of the cast did well. Christina Applegate starred in many popular movies and shows. Katie Sagal found success in both comedy and drama. Ed O'Neill became known again for his role in Modern Family, but Faustino had a harder time. He struggled to find work or land a leading role. In 2009, he tried something new. He created a web series called Starving for the streaming service Crackle. He played a funny, extreme version of himself. In one episode, he gets the Married with Children cast back together for a fake movie script reading. But then he finds out that his role has been given to actor Seth Green. It was a joke, but also a bit of a sad moment that reflected his real struggle after the show. That web series might not have been a big hit, but it showed how much love he still had for the show and his co-stars. Fans who found it got a surprise reunion and one more laugh. Speaking of which, did you know that Married with Children was surprisingly linked to Friends? How Married with Children tied into Friends and more. These two sitcoms crossed paths more than once. Matt LeBlanc, who became famous for playing Joey on Friends, actually appeared on Married with Children first. He played Vinny, one of Kelly Bundy's boyfriends, in season 5. This wasn't just a small role, it was part of an early plan to create a new spin-off show. That plan didn't work out, but the connection remained. Later, in season 10, the show openly poked fun at Friends in an episode titled Enemies. That episode was meant to launch yet another spin-off series, but it never got picked up. And of course, Christina Applegate, our Kelly Bundy, went on to appear in Friends herself. She played Rachel's sister in a few episodes, and her role was so good that she was even nominated for an Emmy. But Friends wasn't the only direction the creators of Married with Children wanted to go. There were several other attempts to build spin-offs around the show. Some made it to TV, but most didn't last. Still, the ideas they tried tell us a lot about how popular and powerful the show had become behind the scenes. But there are more shocking secrets of what happened behind the scenes. Chaos on the Set, a new book by Richard Gurman, titled Married with Children vs. The World, the inside story of the shock-com that launched Fox and changed TV comedy forever, has revealed shocking secrets from the set, especially the ones involving guest star Sam Kinison. Sam was a popular comedian in the 1980s, known for his loud voice and wild lifestyle. He joined the show in Season 4 playing Al Bundy's guardian angel. But even though he only appeared in 2 episodes, he left a lasting mark on everyone involved. According to the book, Sam's behavior quickly became a problem. On his very first day on set, he shocked everyone by pulling down his pants and mooning the entire cast and crew. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. The next day, he tried to make up for it, but in true Sam style, he didn't exactly apologize quietly. He showed up late and brought a group of strippers to serve lunch to the entire crew. Everyone was speechless, though some couldn't help but laugh. But things didn't stay funny for long. Richard Gurman wrote that Sam had serious tension with the show's director, Jerry Cohen. Jerry suspected that his girlfriend might be having an affair with Sam. So one night he went to Sam's house to confront him. The argument turned ugly. Sam reportedly pulled out a gun, waved it around, and threatened to shoot. Gurman wrote, Sam's attention-getting antics on the stage made working with him a challenge, and provided some eye-opening examples of what he would have been like to work with on a regular basis. Sam's unpredictable behavior caused chaos, but it also gave people a glimpse of how out of control things could get behind the scenes of such a bold, rule-breaking sitcom. The cast that almost was. When the creators, Ron Levitt and Michael Moy, first planned Married with Children, they had very different faces in mind for the main roles. According to Gurman's book, Sam Kinison was originally considered for the lead role of Al Bundy. Roseanne Barr was supposed to play his wife, Peggy, but that version of the show never happened, and the creators were thankful for that. We never liked working with comedians because they come in with their character already, Michael Moy explained. What were we going to do, tell Roseanne how to do her domestic goddesses thing? We were going to tell Sam Kinison how to do his thing? There'd be fighting all the time. Instead, Ed O'Neill was chosen to play Al, and Katie Sagal became Peggy. Their chemistry was instant, and it turned out to be one of the smartest casting decisions ever made. But even Ed O'Neill almost didn't take the job. His agents had warned him that the show sounded terrible. They called it a horrible show on a dubious new network. Fox was new and untested. But when Ed read the script, something clicked. He loved the character of Al Bundy, grumpy, broke, and defeated, but funny in a way that made people love him. Christina Applegate also didn't like the idea at first. She thought the script was disgusting when she first read it, but after watching the pilot episode with her mother, she changed her mind. She realized it wasn't just crude, it was clever, and that decision made her a star, the scandal that made it bigger. When Married with Children first aired, people didn't know what to make of it. It was loud, crude, and full of jokes that no other show would dare say. One woman in Michigan named Terry Rakolta became so angry about it that she started a national protest. In Richard Gurman's book, Terry said she was watching an episode that made jokes about vibrators while sitting with her kids. She was horrified and decided to call Fox to complain. She was connected to writer Marcy Vosberg, who told her something simple but bold. If she didn't like the show, she could always change the channel. Terry thought she was talking to a Fox executive, not a writer, and that made her even angrier. Soon, she started calling advertisers, asking them to pull their support. Companies like Coca-Cola and Johnson & Johnson dropped their ads, and Terry began appearing on TV to warn other parents. But instead of hurting the show, her protest made it even more famous. The controversy pulled in more viewers who wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Fox's risky show turned into a massive hit, and by the time it ended, it had become one of the longest-running live-action sitcoms in Fox history. The backlash that was supposed to destroy the show only made it stronger, and it proved that audiences were ready for something different, even if it shocked them. Feuds, regrets, and the truth. years later. Even after the show became a hit, tension behind the scenes never completely went away. Recently, Ed O'Neill opened up about one moment he still regrets from his time on Married with Children. During an appearance on Jesse Tyler Ferguson's Dinners on Me podcast, he talked about his longtime feud with co-star Amanda Bearse, who played his neighbor Marcy. Ed said, "We didn't get along, but we did for a long time. We were great friends. Things changed after a disagreement over a TV guide cover. The magazine only allowed a limited number of cast members to appear, leaving Amanda and David Garrison, who played her husband, out. Amanda wanted Ed to stand up for them and asked the producers to include everyone. But Ed said no. He admitted, "We were lucky to get it, it was big." And Amanda and David came out in unison from their dressing room and said, "We expect you to go to Ron Levitt and tell him this doesn't work. We're all on the cover." Ed responded honestly but harshly, telling them he wasn't going to do that. "I'm sorry you guys aren't on the cover," he told her. "I wish you were, but we can't do anything about it." He now says he regrets that moment and wishes he had handled it differently. Their friendship never really recovered, and years later, things got worse when Amanda didn't invite Ed to her wedding to Carrie Schenken. Ed later admitted he was hurt, but also understood her reasons, saying he wasn't always kind during their arguments. Even though the cameras stopped rolling years ago, the tension between cast members wasn't the only hidden truth from the set. What most fans didn't realize was that behind the laughter, the atmosphere could be just as harsh as the jokes on screen. Harsh behind the scenes. While Married with Children made people laugh for years, behind the scenes things were not always fun. Christina Applegate and Katie Sagal, who played daughter and mother on the show, shared how rough the environment really was. On Katie's podcast Pie, she said, "We were a sarcastic, cynical bunch. You weren't safe, really. You turned your back. Somebody's going to talk on you." Christina agreed and shared a moment that stayed with her. She said, "I could hear being talked about in my dressing room on the monitor." She explained that she had just walked off set and heard people gossiping about her. "I was like, wow, I was just there 20 seconds ago," she said. That kind of behavior made her feel like she didn't belong. Katie added, "The vibe on our set was so freaking cynical." Christina said it wasn't just cynical, it was mean. During that time, Christina was going through a lot. Her mom had cancer, and she was trying to grow spiritually. She didn't have the energy for all the gossip and negativity. But even though things were hard, Christina said she always felt safe with Katie. "I just knew that you understood me and were not going to judge me," she told her. Over time, their bond off-screen became just as strong as their bond on-screen. But while the cameras captured jokes and laughter, what happened between takes was often cold, harsh, and hurtful. And that was just the beginning of Christina's personal struggles on the show. Christina Applegate's secret battle on the show. Christina Applegate became a star because of Married With, but being in the spotlight at such a young age had serious effects on her. She was only a teenager when the show started, and the pressure to look perfect started to take over her life. On her podcast Messy, she told Katie Sagal that playing Kelly Bundy affected her deeply. "Playing that character kind of did things to me and my psyche that were no bueno, like anorexia," she revealed. She said a bad eating disorder started during the show and lasted for a long time. Christina kept it all to herself. She never told anyone. She said, "I was very, very private about it." She remembered hiding in bathrooms to eat. She felt so much shame around food that even eating a small thing like one shrimp made her hide. "I would hide on the airplanes, like when we went to London," she said. "I remember hiding in there to eat like one shrimp, because I was so afraid if anyone saw me eat that they'd think I was going to try to get fat or something. The pressure was too much." Katie explained that Christina was very much scrutinized on the show because she was being seen that way at 17 years old, Katie said, would with anyone's head. Katie added, "Chrissy was very much scrutinized and tried to keep in a box." She said the producers made her wear tighter and shorter skirts. Christina admitted that the look actually started with her. Her character, Kelly, was supposed to be a tough biker girl, but Christina had a different idea. She saw a girl in a music documentary who inspired her. "She had this big ing hair and a white lycra dress," Christina said. She went to the wardrobe department and said, "We're changing this. We got to represent the zeitgeist of this rock, slutty video vixen thing." She wanted Kelly to match the wild style of the 1980s. Christina's idea worked, but it came with a price. While fans loved the look, the attention made her feel trapped. And though she looked confident on screen, behind it she was quietly struggling just to make it through. Do you think the pressure of fame at such a young age was too heavy for Christina to handle? Or was it just part of being a star in the 90s? And looking back, do you think Married with Children went too far with how it portrayed Kelly Bundy? Or was it simply reflecting the times? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.